John, Learning Support Officer Saliswa and fellow students. Today I'll be presenting on brain mapping, the scientific process used to visualize how our brain's structure connects to its many functions. It's essentially the neuroscience version of a map. Instead of showing countries or roads, it reveals neurons, connections, and brain regions that shape how we think, learn, and behave. So, what is brain mapping? Brain mapping is a technique used to visualize the brain's structure and function. It links what different parts of the brain look like to what they actually do, such as controlling movement, processing vision, or forming memories. In simple terms, brain mapping is how scientists identify where each function occurs in the brain and how those regions communicate. Much like Google Earth, we can zoom in from the entire brain to individual neural circuits. The main purpose of brain mapping is to understand how different regions of the brain work together and change over time. Researchers use it to study learning, aging, and disease progressions. Clinicians use brain mapping to diagnose and treat different neurological and psychiatric conditions, from Alzheimer's to schizophrenia. By identifying which areas of the brain are responsible for certain abilities, doctors can plan surgeries and treatments with greater precision and safety. In short, brain mapping connects the brain's structure, function, and behavior. Brain mapping combines structural and functional imaging methods to form a complete picture of the brain. Structural tools include CAT scans or computer axial tomography, which use X-rays to reveal physical abnormalities, MRI or magnetic resonance imaging, which produces highly detailed images of the brain anatomy using magnetic fields, diffusion tensor MRI or DTI, which traces how water moves through the brain tissues to map neural pathways. Functional tools include EEG or electroencephalogram, which records the brain's electrical signals, position emission tomography or PET scans, which shows the brain metabolism using radiation traces, fMRI or functional MRI, which measures brain activity while subjects work on different tasks, which reveals active regions in real time, PH-MRI, or pharmacological functional MRI, which observes brain response to medication, TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, which stimulates specific brain areas non-invasively to study behavior. Together, these tools create a multi-layered map of how the brain looks and how it functions moment by moment. Practical applications of brain mapping. Brain mapping has advanced how we know and treat the brain in both research and medicine. For example, fMRI studies have identified that our ability to understand sarcasm relies on a region called the right parahippocampal gyrus. When this area is damaged, people lose their sense of sarcasm entirely, showing how specific cognitive abilities are tied to precise brain regions. Another application is studying consciousness. Researchers found that consciousness depends on synchronization between deep brain centers and neural loops responsible for higher thoughts. If this communication breaks down, awareness fades, even though brain activity may still be present. This helps explain why patients who appear unresponsive can still show signs of awareness when exposed to familiar voices. Clinically, brain mapping allows doctors to locate seizure zones, track disease progression in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and visualize how mental illness affects the brain. It bridges the gap between science and medicine, making invisible processes visible. Now, looking at this comparison table, I'll be specifically focusing on brain mapping. Brain mapping is the scientific process that visualizes both the structure and function of the human brain. Its purpose is to link the physical brain regions and their specific roles, whether that's movement, speech, emotion, or memory. It achieves this through advanced imaging tools such as MRI, fMRI, PET, EEG, and DTI, each offering a different layer of understanding, from structure to activity to connectivity. In practice, brain mapping is used to identify how the brain changes through learning, development, and disease. It allows doctors to locate seizure zones, study mental health disorders, and plan precise surgeries with minimal risk. So overall, while this table presents both brain and mind mapping side by side, what stands out about brain mapping is its depth. It doesn't just organize information, it helps us decode the biological basis of thought itself. In summary, brain mapping is far more than a collection of scans or images. It's a roadmap of what makes us human. It links to tissue, emotion to circuitry, and memory to structure. Through technologies that capture both anatomy and activity, we're beginning to visualize not just the brain, but the mind at work. Thank you.